Okay, I want to begin with Cheri. Your work with Our House began several years ago through your involvement with the juvenile justice system. And the mission of Our House presently is to really walk alongside youth who are transitioning out of foster care to bring housing supports, mentoring, and any other resources that you can bring to bear to make sure that they transition successfully out of foster care and into college or career. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit about the origin story of Our House, right, and what that was like, and how you coalesce these volunteers around this population who oftentimes slips through the cracks in our community.
When many of our originating board members were associated in some form or another with the Court-Appointed Special Advocate, or CASA program in Washtenaw County, and as the issue of youth aging out of foster care began to gain attention nationally as well as in the CASA organization, we wanted to find out what was going on specifically in Washtenaw County. So we partnered with some fellows from the University of Michigan, and we did some research that showed that there were some service gaps in especially housing and mentoring or support services for this population in Washtenaw County. And so in 2012, Our House was formed to address some of those challenges. Mm-hmm. And prior to fall of this last year, we had been operating as an all-volunteer organization. And our members of the board were volunteers, our mentors are obviously volunteers, and we were running programs and administration and working with the youth. So I would have to say that that's not a choice that we made. It was probably born more out of necessity. Okay. But the volunteers are just tremendous in what they do for us.
Great, thank you. We're going to get to what's changed in our next round of questions. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and turn it over to Charo. Charo, you are one of the leaders in a collective. Intentionally, it is not a 501c3 nonprofit organization called Buenos Vecinos, which was born out of the results from the Latino health survey that was conducted by the health department several years ago. And through that work, you and other volunteers saw an emerging and unmet need for the Latinx community in Washtenaw County. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened after you saw that data and how you coalesced volunteers around this collaborative that you're building?
Well, the Encuesta Buenos Vecinos, which is the Latino health survey, one of the components was to have a community leadership team. Mm-hmm. And it was about, I think it was 8 people back then. And they were trained so that they could administer the survey, because in the Latino community, there's trust is a big issue. And so in order to have the people participate, it had to be people that looked like them. And so the leadership team sort of guided the survey, and when the survey was done, we prioritized the top 10 issues that we could address. And then the money ran out for the survey, and we decided, well, we have to keep going. And so we kept going. We did some home visits to tell people about the top 10 issues. Then we started working with the youth at Ipsy High at the ESL class. The ESL teacher asked us to help her. And that's what we've been doing. We've been, right now we have a curriculum that we're using, and we are doing like tutoring and homework help and academic support, and the social emotional learning curriculum, which is really wonderful. And we're trying to now sort of woo the families, the parents of the youth, because it's hard to get them to come out to a meeting or any activity because they're working. A lot of them don't have a driver's license, so it's tough to get them to engage, but we're working on it.
You're working on it. And so, both of you were working for in this case, some many months and even years without the support of traditional resources that we think of, like grants and donations. So, can you tell me what it was like, that first round of funding from United Way and the Community Foundation through the Washtenaw Coordinated Funders? So, Cheri, help the audience understand what happened and what that investment was, and then what's happened since that initial investment.
We were fortunate to have individual donors who supported us for a long time for our operating expenses. But I think that the first real large level of support that we received was from a capacity building grant through the coordinated funders. And while we were unable to, I think, really embrace that at first because we were so busy without staff and we were growing so quickly, once we were able to really focus on those areas that the grant was targeting, we were able to, I think, leapfrog in our growth. And I think that's really what funding has been able to do for us and organizations like us, is allow us to more quickly expand the services and the offerings that we have.
Can you share the big news that happened last year?
That was really exciting, thank you. We were the recipients of a University of Michigan Community Health grant, very large, that has allowed us to put some kids in houses that normally would not be housed, provide staff that could provide additional services, and it's just, again, one of those blessings that come along that allow you to just accelerate so quickly.
That's great. Thank you for sharing. And so we've been working with our house through the coordinated funding partners over the last 4 years. And so those were smaller dollar capacity building grants to help build the infrastructure. And then alongside that came that sizable operational grant to kind of accelerate and resource staffing and services.
And truly, I don't think that we would have been in a position to be able to apply for, receive, and manage that type of grant and the things that it's allowing us to do had we not had the opportunity to build capacity along the way.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. And Charo, we've been working with you, we're on year 5 right now, investing in the capacity building of Buenos Vecinos. And can you share with the audience what that's allowed you and the community leadership team to do over that period of time as you build your infrastructure?
Well, it's first off, it allowed us to contract one of the alumni of Ypsi High to work with the youth one-on-one and do the academic support that I mentioned. And she's wonderful, and the youth just absolutely adore her. She's helped several of them apply to college and apply for scholarships and so on. We have the ability to pay for soccer activities and field trips, and that we also had some support from the health department, and we did home visits and did during the home visit we demonstrated the use of a NutriBullet to encourage people to eat more fruits and vegetables. And so I think we distributed like 27 NutriBullets. And the health department bought the NutriBullets, but the coordinated funders paid for us to actually go and do the home visits. And it's almost hard to describe the progress that we're making with the community, because it's building those relationships and that trust that just takes time. It just takes time. And without having resources, it just it wears you out, as I found out before. So we're really grateful to have the support and also the capacity building consultant that's helping us put our bylaws together and all of our organizational structures that really is making a big difference.
Thank you for sharing. So strong organizations lead to strong programs, which lead to outcomes and positive change. And I think what's really important to share is that, we have a growing Latinx population in Washtenaw County. Buenos Vecinos is the only Latinx-led and exclusively Latinx-serving organization in our community. And this is a population that oftentimes is, doesn't falls through the cracks. And similarly with Cheri and the work of our house, we know that foster care youth are a population that oftentimes falls through the cracks, particularly when they age out of the system that has been attending to them until they become quote unquote adults. And so it was really important for us to lift up this work by two amazing women, and I think we have a little bit of time left. I don't see a timekeeper, so I'm going to keep going. My last question is that the floor is yours, and so I want to give you some time in the service of giving you a platform. You're here with elected officials, board members, donors, and community partners. What do you want people to know about the population that you're working with, Cheri? What do you want people to know about the foster youth that you're serving and about the work that you're pursuing?
I think that the most important thing to understand about the population that we're serving is exactly what you said, Bridget, and that is that they go unnoticed. They travel a little bit under the radar, unfortunately, of many organizations and many community services that people traditionally think are available to them. And so we need to prop them up and meet them where they're at in order to be able to ensure that they have a life in their early 20s and beyond.
Great. And if folks want to get in touch with you, how might they do that?
They can visit our website at ourhousemi.org, and if you want to get a hold of me directly, I'm at cdunn, D-U-N-N, at ourhousemi.org.
Great, thank you. Charo, what do you want people to know? You have a platform for the mission of Buenos Vecinos?
Well, our mission is I actually wrote it down because I can't remember it to promote resilient Latinx leadership and powerful connections across Washtenaw County by igniting ideas, strengthening trust, and building relationships. And like the foster care people, right? They're adults, some of them, the Latinx community, sort of given immigration atmosphere going on today, a lot of them sort of purposely fly under the radar. There's a lot of fear. It's scary just to drive to work because if you don't have a driver's license, that could be your last day here, really, if you get pulled over. And so along all of those things, there are needs that they need, things that they need that they don't want to reach out. And then there's the language barrier. So they're just like a plethora of issues to address, and getting them to know where the organizations are that can help them, and getting them to actually take that first step and call or go there is often, it takes a while to convince them. So it's just time and consistent being there and answering their questions and just encouraging them time and time again to participate fully in our county, because there's a lot of resources in the community, a lot of talent and a lot of entrepreneurship that I wish they could just take off with. So.
If some of our audience members were interested in how to engage with Latinx community members, how might they reach out to you to learn more about how to do that?
Well, my email is charo.ledon@gmail.com. We don't have a website, and my phone number is public. It's just out there for anybody. So if you want it, I can give it to you. 734-213-5396.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we please get a round of applause for these fabulous women? Thank you for the work that you're pursuing on behalf of youth aging out of foster care, and for our Latinx residents in Washtenaw County. We appreciate you. We see you, and we are committed to continuing to work with you both. So thank you for everything. Thank you. All right, on to the next.